a moment. Okay. Just to let everyone know, we don't have the separate pages posted as we typically do. Fortunately, though, tonight's material can be found on the n3sh.org website. You go to the left-hand side of the screen, go to WashRag, and look for the October 2020, just last October. And once you get that opened, we're going to be on page 8, the N3 IDH antenna repair of September 22nd. I'll give everyone a moment to get there before we get rolling. Folks, we're not going to do a roll call tonight. We're just going to dispense with that and just let everyone else, just listen in. If you could hold your questions until Dave is done presenting, and then take notes. Now, unless you've got to run, then feel free to chime in when Dave takes breaks. We'd like to thank Dave for presenting to us this evening. If anyone else is interested in presenting in the future, please feel free to reach out to myself or another member of WASH, and we can get all that lined up. My name is Glenn, and KE7FD. And tonight's presentation, let me reset, will be on the cubical quad antenna, which has been a staple in the ham radio community for quite a long time. And my Elmers, when I was a novice or became a novice back in 1972, my Elmers had quad antennas, and they were great performers. So Dave is going to share his experience with the quad, and you can feel free to ask him questions afterwards, and he'll be sharing some resources with you. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the time over to Dave, N3 IDH. Over to you.
AB3 CMT.
Go ahead, Curtis.
Roger, KE7FD, Glenn and the group, just wanted to check and see if you got my email there. I apologize, I'm running a little late. Wanted to see if that webpage was sufficient.
Let me, okay, everyone stand by for a moment. All right, looks like page has been updated. Maybe I needed to refresh my screen there. So I see that if you go to the top of the, to the bottom of the blue block on the left-hand side of the web page, you'll see Tech Talk Thursday, and you scroll down a little bit. It says update, and there he's got the pictures that Dave is going to be referring to tonight, and so that might be a little bit easier than parsing through the WashRag. So if you want to just pull that up, Dave will get started momentarily, and thank you, Curtis. This is KE7FD, over to Dave, N3IDH.
Okay, N3IDH here. I'm clicking on Tech Talk Thursday here in the bottom of that light blue box, and I'm not getting anything new here.
Turn F5 there.
Or even Control F5, hold your Control key and press F.
Control F5.
Roger.
So, folks, if you may need to refresh your browser there just to see the update to the web page there, and then you can see the link directly to the photographs that have been separated out.
Okay, E7FD and U3Q with a question.
Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, you talk about on the web page you get Tech Talk Thursday and click on quad antennas. There's a page here with 3 different pictures. Is that the page you're talking about?
Yes, Bob, that's it. There are quite a few pictures to choose from, and Dave has separated these 3 out for us to look at, and I believe he will be sharing with us additional information over the air that we can also look up on the web during his presentation.
QSL, thank you, Glenn. And by the way, for everybody knows, I'm currently live streaming this Tech Talk Thursday on my YouTube channel, and U3Q Amateur Radio is live streaming right now as we speak. It's live streaming right now as we speak.
Right, I'll go listen. Sure, P's and Q's. Dave, back over to you.
No, I'm getting staged right now. M3IDH. Okay, I found the 3 pictures we separated out there. Here at the top are kind of redundant there. The one on the right, I picked just to give you a good perception of the size of the antenna versus me and the width there, putting it back on the boom. That's the driven end, and I completely rebuilt that. New spreaders, new fiberglass spreaders, new wire, and everything. I use number 14 gauge woven wire, very easy to work with, and it went together pretty quickly. A tip, before I get into the specifics here on it, about cutting wire for this or any antenna. I've worked for an electrical supply company, and so I got this wire. I took it back to our warehouse there where they have a wire cutting machine, and had them just run it off in the length I needed to cut it. And it saves a lot of time to do that, make any kind of antenna and need them. Don't want stretching out across the backyard however much you need. Maybe go to one of the big box stores or one of the electrical supply stores and buy the wire you need to have them cut it to the length you need. My dipole and inverted L, I use what they call MTW or THHN wire. It's machine tool wire. The insulation is good to resist cutting oils and solvents and stuff like that. That's what the MTW means, machine tool wire. And THHN is very similar. And it holds up well to weather. Like all copper wires, does stretch some over time, but that's my secret to measuring out the wire. Let me take a break. Those measuring machines are pretty accurate, more so than you might believe. And I suggest getting pencil and the pad here. I'll give you some measurements and stuff if you want to get into it. And I just went and had my buddy at the warehouse there cut the wire for me to the measurements I had and put it up, and it works great. So let me buy a minute here. Grab a pencil and paper if you want.
Dave, if I could just jump in real quick.
Go ahead, Glenn.
So, in case we've got some new folks on the air listening tonight and are not familiar with a quad antenna, generally speaking, a 2-element quad antenna for whatever band or frequency that you cut it for is generally has more gain than a 3-element Yagi of its counterpart. So if you're considering an antenna and you've wondered about cubicle quads, it's been around for a very long time. There's lots of information on quads in a handbook or the antenna handbooks that are out there. Lots of information, and so what Dave is sharing with you tonight is a practical, his experience in construction and maintaining one. And we should all be maintaining our antennas regardless. So you're getting a really good bird's eye view of what Dave's experience was here. So with that, Dave, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, let me start at the beginning here now. I got out my old paper logbook, and my first contact on this antenna was back on August 19th, 1995. So I'm approaching 26 years up there on top of this tower. It's a 40-foot Roan 25G tower, and this picture you see here is the first time I've totally rebuilt one end or the other of that quad. I've had, I think it was third and fourth time I've had to do some kind of repair, but this is the first major repair of rebuilding the whole, in this case, driven end. I think that's, pretty good track record there for durability. And the fiberglass spreaders I'm using now are much heavier duty than the ones that came with it. This was originally a lightning bolt quad. Those of us that have been around a while know that name. Mike is no longer in business. He had problems with suppliers there towards the end. The fiberglass people would, by the way, he handmade everything in the shop there up by not too far from Grove City. And, he made the fiberglass spreaders, and his fiberglass spreaders decided they were only going to sell 55-gallon drums of this stuff to them, and his aluminum supplier got bought out by somebody else, if I remember right, and the quality went down, and he just said, the heck with it, it's not worth aggravation anymore. So, but Mike made a heck of an antenna there, anybody that knew him.
And Zero VLR. Dave, I absolutely second that with a 25-year 2-meter vertical that still works in New Hampshire under extreme conditions.
Okay, Paul, thank you for that. You're looking at this picture. You see up above the HF quad, there is a 2-meter 70 centimeter quad I have up there too, and a 2-meter push track oriented for horizontal 2-meter propagation. And they've all been up there a long, long time. And I've never had to do anything to the VHF or UHF antennas, just the HF quad. Here's 2 websites if you want to write them down. This first one, they sell you the whole antenna, the whole kit here. I'll spell it out phonetically. Charlie, Uniform, Bravo, Echo, X-Ray, Quebec, Uniform, Alpha, Delta, Sierra.com, QubexQuads.com. They've been in business forever. I've seen their products out of Dayton, and they look very sturdy, well built. That's Quebex.quads, or QubexQuads, all one word.com. The second website I'm going to put out for you there is parts. They have the fiberglass poles and other things. And it's Mike Golf Sierra, the number 4, uniforms.com. MGS4U.com. I've been told that DX Engineering has parts in fiberglass. I didn't get a chance to look that up, but I've been told they also have what you need for a cubicle quad too. Any questions so far? Okay, stepping back here a moment. The reason I went with this array and the 40-foot tower, at the time I had one of our township supervisors was a neighbor of mine, so I thought it'd be wise to get his blessing on this project. And we talked about it, and the end result was, he said, yeah, you can do that, just don't put it up where it's hanging over a neighbor's property line, or it can fall on your neighbor's property. And only having a third of an acre to work with, that's the route I decided to go. Many of you that have been around a long time knew Jack W9UK has become a silent key. I patterned my installation pretty much after his, as far as the HF quad goes. So that's why I decided to go this route. Also off my tower I have a 40-meter dipole, and there's a inverted L in a pine tree up in the backyard too, but tonight I'm concentrating on this HF quad. It is good for, I have elements on there for 20 meters, 17, 15, 12, 10, and 6 meters. The front to back, or the gain on the HF band, does not include the 6 meters element. 7 dB. And he has listed as 26, which is pretty impressive, and I believe it. Side loop attenuation is 50, and the boom diameter he used, it's an aluminum pipe, it's a 2-inch diameter pipe. Surface area of the whole quad is 6 square feet, and the weight of the whole antenna is only 35 pounds.
Hey Dave, can I interrupt and ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
That's Zero VLR. So Dave, what you said, something about the 35 pounds on the antenna, I think it's interesting to note that with ice storms and snow and other loadings, most of it is wire, correct, and not aluminum, right?
Yes, it's the fiberglass spreaders there, the X-frame, are fiberglass. The elements themselves are just wire. He supplied a hard-drawn aluminum wire for it. I've since converted to copper. And the only actual aluminum is the boom itself, and it's held up very well, 2-inch aluminum. It had survived. We had a severe ice storm, I don't know, 15 years ago or more. And I come home, and it looked like an ugly pretzel up there. I mean, it was all twisted around with ice hanging all over the place. And I thought, oh my goodness, what did I do? Well, there was nothing I got to do that day, so I let it go. And the next morning I got up, or the next day, and it warmed up, and the ice fell off, and it sprung right back into shape. I didn't have to do anything to it. So I was going to get into that a little bit later here, but it is surprisingly very sturdy. I live here, well, the antenna is actually peeking over the top of the hill here. I have some other pictures here on my phone from that man lift here when I was doing it, and I have a clear line of sight almost 360 degrees for miles from that antenna height. So it takes a lot of abuse from weather and stuff, and it's, like I said, 26 years and only one major repair. I think that's a pretty good track record.
Thanks, Dave. Good input and good comparison with the heavy aluminum of a Yagi.
Yeah, it's a good performer. And something else I'll throw in here before I get to some other specifics, some other details. It is a very good receiving antenna, even on other bands that it was not designed for. On our 80-meter Western Pennsylvania Health and Wellness Net weekday mornings there on 3983 megahertz there at 9 o'clock. I'll put a little plug in for that. If I can't hear somebody off my dipole and I switch to the quad, I can usually hear them. It's a good, there's enough wire there to, and it's part vertical. I have it horizontally polarized, but there's some vertical elements to it too. And I can pull somebody out that I can't hear off my dipole that is probably vertically polarized. And it is a very good receiving antenna, even on the bands that it's not designed for. Specifically, their Nate DMS, I can hear him better off my quad on 8 meters than I can off my dipole. So it makes a good receiving antenna too. Any other questions so far? Yes, sir.
Quick question about that, Dave. Do you think maybe that's because of because you have it so far up in the air, that you're picking me up, off the ground waves?
Possibly. I'm no antenna expert, antenna guru. I didn't even sleep with Holiday Inn last night, so but yeah, that's possible. I think you're very good polarized, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, I am. And it's down on the ground, so vertical antenna down on the ground for ground waves is not great. So yeah, maybe since you're up on that hill and you have that antenna on the tower, maybe that good height is what's picking me up. Don't want to tie this up with different functions in my head.
A comment?
Yeah, I think you're right. Like I said, it has some vertical, a little bit of vertical polarization to it too, but mainly horizontal the way I have it set. And go ahead with the comment.
K7FD. So that, I don't know if you can see the pictures, and by the way, the links that Dave gave at Cubic and at Max Gain Systems, you have to dig down at Max Gain to find them, but you can buy the parts. I think they're already prefab parts to build whatever size quad you want. And if you didn't already pick up on it, for example, if you decide to build a 20-meter quad, because the wire is nested, you can have a 20, anything from 20 meters all the way to 6 if you want, or maybe 2 meters, but all the way from 20 meters with all the other bands above it nested in between, which is typically loop, competed with one coax, and and have to have separate antennas. I think both QVX and certainly Max Gain have products that build a 40-meter quad, and with the quad, you have it's a full wave for one when you feed it the coax. It's a full wave all the way around that loop of wire, and a loop antenna tends to be quieter than most other antennas, so that can help on the receive end if that's a concern to you. So you got some definite advantages there with this design. Can you send that feedback to Dave?
Okay, so thanks. Yes, it is quieter. That plays into what Nathan was asked about being able to receive them within 30-meter dipole. I would guess it's normally 3 or 4 dB quieter than my dipole, my 40-meter dipole that I load up to also trading orders. So, yeah, that's a good point. Thanks for bringing that up, Ben. Is there any other questions to this point? Correct Glenn with it. I have my 6-meter elements set separately today, but M320 are all set at one point. Mike, lightning bolt Mike, as I call him, I forget his real last name here, but the other element through a transformer, but he never told me what the ratio was. So if you want to build one, you have to do research on that. I'm not sure if it was 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 or what. The VHF and the UHF quad and the 6-meter quad are still directly with coax. But I'm not sure what this little transformer is that came with the HF quad. Okay, yes, some paper handy again. I'll give you the actual wire length of the elements I have here on this, and so like I said, I just cut some big lengths that Mike had on the instructions when I bought the antenna and put it up, and it worked. I didn't have to. I didn't see any need to go back up and trim anything. So. I'll give you a second there, guys, with pencil and paper. Line, red shrink. Okay, starting at the 20-meter, the driven element is 70 feet, 6 inches of wire. And the reflector is 72 feet, 6 inches. 17 meters, the driven element is 55 feet 9 inches, and the reflector is 57 feet 2 inches. The 15-meter element is 47 feet 2 inches, and the reflector element is 48 feet 2 inches. 12-meter driven element is 40 feet 5 inches, and the reflector is 41 feet 5 inches. The 10-meter element, driven element, is 35 feet even, and the reflector element is 35 feet 8 inches. And the 6-meter driven element is 19 to 10 inches, and the reflector is 20 feet 6 inches. Anybody need a repeat on any of that? Okay, those are the dimensions supplied by White People. And, like I said, I just put it up there and it worked good. I never saw a reason to trim them anymore. The 2 meter and 7 centimeter antennas I bought from them, the elements were already put together in a loop, and I don't remember what the dimensions of them are. You would have to do the math to figure that out for yourself. I don't remember what the spacing was between the driven element and the reflector. I'm sure that's out there on the internet, several places there. The ARRL antenna book is an excellent resource on the antenna too. My paper was a lot of it is faded and hard to read, and I just couldn't quite make out all the dimensions on the distance between the elements. I know the 6 meter elements were only about half. I only have them about halfway length than the rest of it, but that's the dimensions, the wire length of all the elements I have up there. There's different 6 meters. Another nice thing about this is here, you don't need a big massive tower to hold it up in the air. I have Roan 25 bracketed to my house, and it doesn't move much at all, hardly at all, except at the very top when the wind's blowing good. But I have it bracketed about halfway up there to my house. And it doesn't take a ginormous rotor to turn it either, even with all that other stuff I have up there. I suggest a very strong, mast to mount everything on, especially if you're going to mount more than just a quad on there. You need something really strong in that respect. So like I said, you don't need Roan 25 tower or equivalent and a modest rotor. It's something a lot heavier than a TV rotor, but nothing really ginormous will do a fine job. Like I said, mine's been up in the air almost 26 years now without just one major rebuild on the driven end. Okay, that wraps up about all the notes I have here. Does anybody have any questions? KB3BY, we'll call it. Go ahead.
It's a great presentation, by the way. And I just want to put this out there. If anyone's looking for a do-it-yourself, it looks like there's a website, and that's wa2ooo.com. Whiskey Alpha 2, Oscar.com. Back to net, KB3BYA.
Oh, good information, Tony. I'll have to look that up here. Let me read it. That was WA2OOL.
USL.
Okay, I'll have to look that up too. Thanks for the compliment there. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Jim.
A good presentation, Dave. I didn't hear all of it, but I enjoyed what I heard. Thought it was a lot of fun. Regarding using that as the quad as a receive antenna on 80 meters, I'm not surprised with what you're seeing. The quad is going to look like a small loop on 80 meters which is very good for receiving. It tends to have a low noise level compared to, say, a vertical input because it's a closed loop antenna, and therefore the signals may be weaker, but you get a better signal noise ratio, much like an NVIS antenna, although the quad is not an NVIS antenna. So I suspect that's why your performs as a receive antenna on the lower band. Thanks again for the presentation. WB4GZS.
Comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
I know I mentioned this to Dave when I first got my license back in, like I said, back in the 70s. There was a QST cover page. I seem to recall. There may have been a photograph in an article in an issue of QST where some guy had a full-size 80-meter quad, 2 elements. And this thing rotated around the house. And so you saw the house, single-story house, and this antenna elements were in the front yard and in the backyard, and they would rotate around the side of the house and so forth. So 80-meter quads are possible. Another comment here. K7FE is that you can rotate the quad so that it either is the cross members support fiberglass poles are either horizontal and vertical, or they can both be diagonal. Now, that will affect if you're horizontal or vertically polarized. However, by changing the feed point, you can bring that back. So whether or not you want to have your quad, all elements vertical and horizontal, or if you want them all diagonal, you can control if it's vertically or horizontally polarized. So you have some luxuries there. Now, being that I'm from Arizona, a lot of the guys would paint their fiberglass poles because of the intensity of the sun. And I have seen where some guys will put theirs up so that the wires are diagonal, so the water runs off when rain and freezing. But as Dave pointed out, once it got hit by the ice storm, it was returned back to its original shape of the ice storm. Dave, back to you. This is K7FE.
Good point, Glenn. I tried to work a guy over Midway here a couple months ago now, and on 20 meters. And I heard him, this guy was quite the builder, I guess. He had a 4-element 20-meter quad driven by, I think I remember right, he had a homemade rotor and a homemade 1 KW amplifier. The guy was a heck of a builder there, and I can't imagine. I have seen a 4-element quad like mine down south of Wheeling there. I forget what route it was, and it's impressive. Then again, you need a little more power and a little more rotor than I have to turn that. Let me buy a minute. I talked to Lightning Bolt about painting the fiberglass, and he told me it wouldn't hurt. It was probably a good idea, but he said use lead in paint on it. So he was adamant about that, so I did. Well, this fiberglass I used the last time when these pictures were taken, it's probably 3 times at least thicker than the fiberglass Mike supplied, so I did not paint it. It's very heavy duty fiberglass dark, and I'm sorry, but I just don't remember where I bought it. And one other note there, on the bottom picture you can see the whole array from when I was done. The VHF antenna on the left is for 2 meters, the one on the right is for 440, and the one you see in the middle above the VHF quad is 2 meters side band. So, that's the whole array there. I had put the dipole back up to off the tower there yet, but I also have 40 meter dipole set up with the 2 poles there off the tower. Any other questions or comments?
KZ3GMM.
Go ahead, Nathan.
This isn't my question, but am I making it into the repeater okay?
Oh yeah, full quieting.
Okay, thank you. So I was driving, I was recording for a little while. I missed, you mentioned you have 2 meter and 70 centimeter versions. And I think you said that you purchased them already built, or you purchased kits. I'm assuming you got them, that same gentleman that you got the kits for to build your big one. Is that correct? You built kits?
VHF quad you had to measure up and cut the wire. You had the poles. You were in 2 sections of spreaders. One went down inside the other. There was a split in the end of the larger one, and you put a hose clamp around there and tighten it down when you had the length you want. And it wasn't even physically really hard, it was just time consuming. The VHF and UHF quads came, the spreaders were, separate, and the elements, they were hard on aluminum wire. They were already cut and soldered together, and all you had to do is put them over the spreaders once you had them in the boom there. And pretty straightforward, easy, and quick to assemble. Like I said, the 6 meter and VHF and UHF, they said directly with coax. I'm not sure what the fuel transformer is with these VHF elements.
Thank you, Dave.
Comment?
Go ahead.
Hey, 7FJ, I just remembered something that came to mind. I've seen where some guys will use PVC pipe to build these things. It's not recommended. PVC does not work well in the sun, and it doesn't take much weight to cause PVC pipe to collapse. As Dave pointed out, you've got very good materials available to you from Cubic, Quads, and Maxine systems. In fact, the quad that Dave has is now handled in terms of spare parts, and you can buy all the parts you need to from Maxine now. But don't use PVC, please. We used to use in fact, when I built my quad as a novice, we used bamboo poles, which we were able to find back then, but not today. So fiberglass is much better. Steve, I'm going to see back to M388.
Okay, good. Yeah, I had heard that. I never saw one, but I heard the original quads were made of bamboo. I don't remember the original first quad, the guy that invented the quad was running a shortwave broadcasting station, if I remember right, down in South America somewhere. And the power was, everything was burning the ends off the antennas, and he was trying to figure out something else. Well, I would wait to maybe give somebody else who knows the story better than I, but the end result of his whole dilemma was the cubicle plug. So I can't imagine the length of the cubicle plug for shortwave broadcast station and the size of the wire he had used for the elements. But, yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. Being in the electrical field, Schedule 80 plastic pipe might work for like a 6-meter cubic plug, but I wouldn't recommend it for anything else. And nothing lighter than Schedule 80. That's the heavy-duty plastic electrical conduit. Yeah, stick with the good Bridget fiberglass. And I have a few spare parts here, including the parts, a boom, and that you attach the spreaders to. If somebody is ambitious enough to try and go their own project, talk to me, and I'll give me a call or an email, and I'll be glad to work with you on it and help you out here with my experience. Let me buy a minute. My email is my call, M3IBH at WA3COM.com. Whiskey Alpha 3 Charlie Oscar Mike.com. Any other questions or comments? Okay, going out there over to you if you want to do roll call or whatever to wrap it up. And thanks everybody for listening here. This is M3IBH.
Okay, Dave, thank you again very much. And if anyone, we'll put our commercial out here. If anyone else is interested in doing a presentation, this is April for May, the third May in May. I mean, the third Thursday in May. Just drop us a line, and when we have questions, comments, that goes a little bit longer, but we're okay with that. If you're interested, then let us know. And I'd like to thank owners and operators of N3SH and N3SB for allowing us to use their repeaters for this monthly activity. And we'll turn the repeaters back to normal amateur radio use. This is K7D. Good night.